it's Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life. Brought to you tonight by Lever Brothers, makers of Blue Liquid Whisk, the full-range detergent. Whisk is the liquid way to your cleanest wash. And Pepsodent, that cleans more effectively, polishes more protectively than any other leading toothpaste in familiar carton or handy new push-button container. And here he is, the one, the only...
You may not believe this, but it's me again with a chance for each of our couples to win win a lot of money, as much as $10,000. And if any of them say the secret word, our Duck will come down and pay him an extra $100. This is the word right here. Okay, Duck, back to the stratosphere.
And Groucho, we'll meet our first couple just as soon as we take care of some very important business.
George, who's first?
Oh, Groucho, Diana Dodd is waiting to talk to you. Her partner is a special guest, one of America's best-known writers of humorous verse, Professor Richard Armour. So, folks, you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Well, if either of you say the secret word, you get an extra $100. It's a common word, something you see every day.
Well, Groucho, the secret word?
Secret word, yes.
Well, you said, say the secret word and win $100.
Yes.
Well, I said the secret word.
What is it?
The secret word.
Oh, no.
Well, you just said, say the secret word and win $100.
You can't get away with anything as... Did he say What is the secret word?
The secret word.
Excuse me.
Excuse you?
Yes.
I'd be delighted to.
We've just gotten
Would you
word
like to
from
have
the...
your seat here?
No, that's all right. I just have a moment here.
From the CO?
Well, from the CO over here, that we will allow you to do what you just did, but
Well,
nobody else
else.
better try this. That's what they said.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I had nothing to do with it.
You looked comparatively honest when you first came out here. Well, in case you don't know who this crook is, I mean this man is, his poems are published regularly in the New Yorker and Harper, Saturday Evening Post, and the Horse Breeder's Guide. Now then, you're Edna St. Vincent Millay, is that right?
Oh, no, I'm Diana Dodd, or Scotty Dodd.
You're a Scotty dog? Well, would you care for a bone? Now, why were you so crooked? You're not honestly going to take that $100, are you?
Well, I get only half of it, you know.
You mean
I was just doing it for her, yes.
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh!
What part of Scotland are you from, Scotty?
Dunfermline.
Dunfermline?
Yes, that's way up north.
Where were you born?
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
That's in Scotland now? Well, let's have it, Scotty. What were you doing in Pennsylvania that you couldn't do in Scotland?
Well, my dad was a wild catter in the oil business, and he was over here, and I came along.
Your father was a tomcatter in the oil business, huh?
No, a wild catter.
You were born in Pennsylvania? You were a minor at the time, I guess, huh?
2 weeks old when I went back to Scotland.
Aye. Are you really going to give her $50 of that money?
I have to.
Yeah.
That's part of the regulation here. Yeah.
You would prefer keeping it, wouldn't you?
Well, I think so, yes.
You have You have a fairly wide streak of larceny in you, haven't you? You say, how long ago was it when your father was tomcatting around Pennsylvania?
He wasn't tomcatting, he was wildcatting, and it was 40-odd years ago.
Well, is there a difference between tomcatting and wildcatting?
I don't know what tomcatting is.
Well, I do, and the subject is closed. Say, Professor, would you mind explaining to the little lady what tomcatting is?
Want me to do it here?
Yeah.
Well, I've never explained it this way before, but I would say it's when a young man or a young cat is just out looking for something to do.
That's one of the prettiest euphemisms I've heard this year.
Well, I said looking for something to do, like going to the public library.
Oh, I see.
Or,
yes, you see a lot of cool cats at the public library.
Going to a concert or something like that.
Yes. Well, you're a real expert on the subject, aren't you? Apparently, a professor's life is not an idle one. You are a professor, huh?
That's right.
Professor Armour. Now, let's discuss you. For example, as a professor, just what do you profess?
Well, English literature. I teach mainly Chaucer and the Romantic poets at Scripps College in Claremont, California.
Oh, I thought that was where they had fishing or something in Scripps College.
And you're thinking of the Institute of Oceanography.
Oh, am I?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of her right now. I don't know. Now, what kind of a college is Scripps? Do they have a good football team there?
Well, I don't think we do very well. It's a women's college.
Well, they do as well as some of the men's colleges I know. Are you married, Dick?
Well, I have a wife.
Well, that hardly answers my question. How long you been married?
We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary last year.
Celebrated?
Well, we commemorated it. We
Observed it?
had a few people in,
Oh.
let them fix it themselves.
Well, I presume as a leading poet, you commemorated this with some suitable verse?
Well, we did send out invitations in the form of verse. It was a bad idea because it got us a good many replies in verse. Mm-hmm. But I think probably more appropriate were some lines I wrote a little bit earlier than this called Middle Age.
When did you write this?
Well, not very much earlier. But the lines were, middle age is a time of life that a man first notices in his wife.
It's rather tragic, isn't it? Well, how did you meet your wife, Dick?
We were in school together from the first grade. And,
She nailed you early, huh?
No, I wasn't nailed yet. I would say that along about high school, I was a very shy young fellow. I kept a
You
list.
certainly overcome that, all right.
Well, I kept a list of the 3 girls I admired most, but was too shy to do anything about. And the girl I ultimately married was on that list in last place. Just made it.
Reminds me of a certain ball club. Well, why did you marry her, Dick?
Well, there's a little more to it. In the first place, I became more interested, actually, when I met her some years later in a bakery.
What'd you sing? Looky, 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 here comes Cookie?
But then it was some years later...
I like the way he ignores everything I say. On the other hand, I'm ignoring everything he's saying. Well, what happened? There you were both standing in the bakery.
Well, it's just that I became more interested than I had been before.
You had this little bag of cookies you were taking home to Grandma?
That's right. That's about it. You have the picture.
Now, what about you, Scotty? Are you married?
No, I'm a widow, unfortunately.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you going to try it again?
Oh, yes, indeedy. As a matter of
your-
fact, at the present time, I'm a career girl by choice.
Well, do you have any particular ideas about the type of man you'd like to marry? I mean, should he be rich, poor, tall, short, or what?
Well, I'd like him to have money and have a very extensive vocabulary.
Well, what about Dickie? He's got a very extensive vocabulary.
Well,
He's
she's
also got a wife.
yes.
Why is a good vocabulary necessary?
Well, when the time comes and we get up at the altar in front of the picture, I want him to be able to say, I do.
That has to be the extent of his vocabulary? Well, is there
Yes.
anything about a man that you wouldn't like?
I loathe mustaches.
Well, there's nobody asking you to grow one, you know. Well, Dick, let's talk about your writing. I know that you publish an awful lot of books. How many books have you had published?
18, Groucho.
18 books of all poetry?
No, but more of them are prose. About, I think, 6 or 7 are verse. I started out writing serious scholarly books on 19th century writers.
What are you working on at the moment? Anything the world should know about?
Well, I'm following up a series, more or less, of books that have been called It All Started With. It all started with Columbus, it all started with Europa, it all
I've read a
started with
number
Eve,
of
and
them,
so
yeah.
on. And this one, which is just out, is a book called It All Started With Marx.
Well, it's very flattering. Why did you want to write a book about me? Is it all about quiz shows?
Well, I'm sorry to say it isn't about Groucho Marx, it's about Karl Marx.
I want to make it clear that Karl Marx is not one of the Marx brothers. He happens to be one of the Ritz brothers. Now, what is this book about?
Well, it's a humorous, satiric history of Russia and communism. I think it's the first book-length spoof of communism. It tries to make it ridiculous, and sometimes doesn't have to try very hard.
Dick, you're certainly well known for your short voice. Could you give us some of your better-known ones?
Well, unfortunately, probably the best-known and most quoted piece is the one I dislike most, called Going to Extremes. And simply, shake and shake the catsup bottle. None will come, and then a lottle.
That's very true, because I've got a lot of it on 3 of my vests at home. You know, I didn't know you wrote that. I thought that was either Longfellow or Heinz 57. You know, I've got one something like that, you know. He who opens the pickle jar needs dynamite and a long crowbar. How did you like that?
Well, I'm glad I didn't write it.
Well, it may surprise you to know that that was written by T.S. Eliot. Now, which of the thousands of poems that you've published is your own favorite?
Well, that's very hard to tell. But,
I know, it was hard to ask, too,
right.
but...
Thank you, anyhow. I think if I were... I'd better give you the most recent one rather than a favorite one. How about that? I've got one, in fact, that I just wrote. And it's the title, very, very succinct, brief, to the point title is To Groucho. And then it gets rather sentimental as it goes on.
I'll bet.
Most poets write of meadowlarks. I sing instead of Groucho Marx. His lustrous eyes, each like a star, his noble brow, his sweet cigar, his manly stride, his soft mustache, his easy way with sponsors' cash, his massive shoulders, brawny arms, his intellect, his many charms. In short, and lest the truth I stray from,
Here it comes now.
a man to keep your wife away from.
Well, Dick, I could go on talking to you for hours, but unfortunately, I can't think of anything to say. So let's get on with the quiz. Suffice it to say, you're a real charmer, Richard Armour.
Thank you.
Browning King and Company, I mean, that store on Broadway. And now we're going to play You Bet Your Life. You understand how to play this game? You understand how to play this?
Yes, indeed.
Now, you're partners on this game, and I understand that you have picked a category, and the category is foreign words and phrases. Is that right? And you ought to be very good at this, and you should be ashamed.
She's Scottish, and I thought she might have some Scottish phrases.
Now, all of the following are foreign words or phrases used in everyday speech. If you miss 2 in a row, you're out. If you get 4 in a row right, you win $1,000. Now, what is the Latin word now commonly used that means a list of things to be done?
Memorandum.
Do you want the singular or plural?
Oh.
Well, memorandum is a singular. Memorandum?
Memorandum is all right. We have here agenda, but the man who makes up these lists
That'd be agenda's probably
didn't
better term, yeah.
graduate from primary school, so he... What are you laughing at? It's him. What is the French phrase that means a blind alley?
Oh. Hurry up. We're going to miss out.
No, we get this one. No.
Well, you ought to know this.
Sure,
a
man.
cul-de-sac.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure.
You now
That's what
have
the women are wearing now, you know.
No.
you now have one wrong.
Don't get the other
What is the
one.
French word that means a male cook?
Chef.
Right.
You now have one right.
What is the Spanish phrase that means good day?
Bonus dias.
Buenos dias.
Bonus dias to you, too.
Buenos dias.
You now have 2 right.
What is the Spanish phrase that means go with God?
Vio con Dios.
Or adios. Got via con Dios, yeah.
Vio con Dios.
Say, this kid is no schlemiel that you've got here.
You have 3 right now. Get the next one right, and $1,000 is yours.
What is the German phrase that means till we meet again?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. You didn't
Look
need
at
him
that,
at
look at
all.
that.
Yeah.
And you got 4 in a row, and you win $1,000.
Aren't you going to give her a big kiss for answering all those questions?
I'm a professor after all. My wife's out there, too.
You're a professor after all. Now you've won $1,000. You can keep it and quit, or else you can come back later and try to double your money. You may even get a chance at $5,000 or even $10,000. So go over there and sit down and think about it, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Groucho.
Out of it. If wash day still finds you taking a powder, I mean a laundry powder, it's time you heard the good word about liquid whisk.
Groucho, Rita Bopp is waiting to talk to you.
You read it what?
Rita Bopp.
You do? How often?
This is a lady's name.
Oh.
Rita Bopp is waiting to talk to you.
you
Her
read
partner...
it? I never read about it.
Well, her partner is a
I
special...
never hoped to read one. But I can tell you anyhow, I'd rather read than be one.
Rita Bopp is waiting to talk to you, and her
You
partner...
know that poem?
Which one?
I've never met a purple cow. I never hope to meet one, but I can tell you anyhow, I'd rather...
See than be one.
than...
Rita Bopp is waiting to talk
I thought you didn't know it.
to you. Got you in a cul-de-sac
Yeah,
there.
sure. You let me read the first two lines, then you get to laugh, huh? Pretty cheesy, huh? Your standards are as low as the New York subway.
All right. This Rita Bopp has a partner. And he is a special
why
guest.
shouldn't she?
There's no reason at all. I'd like to tell you that this special guest is really one of the immortals of sports, and his name is Johnny Weissmuller, and they're waiting right out here. Come on in, folks.
Well, I thought he'd swim in. Johnny Weissmuller, huh? Well, welcome to the Blackboard Jungle.
Thank you.
How's that?
Pretty good, Roger.
Now say the secret word and divide an extra $100. It's a common word, something you see every day. Johnny Weissmuller, glad to see you.
Thank you, Groucho.
I know you're probably one of the greatest swimmers who ever lived, probably the greatest, but most people will remember you as Tarzan of the Apes, isn't that true?
That's correct, Carl.
And they'll remember me as one of the apes. Now, me Groucho, you Jane?
No, Rita Bopp.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
My name is Rita Bopp.
Do you want to bop somebody? Well, don't look at me. Bop him. You're a big one, Rita. How tall are you?
Well, at the moment I'm 6'2".
Just a moment, yeah. I've never been to Sequoia National Park. And I just wanted to see what it was like, standing between two giant redwoods. Rita, you have a slight accent. What is it? Is it South African?
No, Dutch.
Dutch?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from, Rita?
From
What?
Amsterdam.
From where?
Amsterdam.
You're not allowed to say Amsterdam on TV.
Why not?
You can just say Amster. You know what an Amster is, don't you? It's something like a rat.
Yeah.
Speaking of rats, let's get back to Weissmuller. Well, Rita, tell us about Amster. What is it like there?
Well, it's a very beautiful city, very old, lots of old houses and big canals.
I've heard a lot about the storks in Holland. Do you really have storks in Holland?
Yes, lots of them, plenty.
You do, huh?
That's where there are so many children born.
Oh. And do they stand on one foot?
Sure, otherwise they should fall when they pull the other one up. Can you see that? Thanks.
Would you mind telling me that again?
Well,
You say, I said the storks stand on one foot, and you say, why do they stand
one leg.
on one leg?
Yeah.
Why do they stand on one leg?
Well, when they should pull the other leg up, they fall.
Is this the kind of jokes that they tell generally in Holland?
Yes, it's a normal joke.
Well, if that's
Ordinary
typical,
joke.
if that's typical of a Dutch joke, I now understand why Holland is called one of the Low Countries. Johnny, come down from that tree and let's talk about you for a while. Now,
Okay,
what part
Carl.
of Australia are you from?
Well, I'm not really from Australia or Africa. I was born in Pennsylvania.
What are you doing now, John? Aren't you on TV with some jungle series?
Oh, yeah, I do the Jungle Gym series. I've
I
done
saw
those.
you with a rubber alligator or something. Didn't I see you wrestling a rubber alligator
It
or a
wasn't
crocodile?
rubber, Groucho. It wasn't rubber.
Well, how is it when the crocodile turned over, it said Goodrich on the bottom? Well, what are you doing now? Are you engaged in any legitimate employment
Oh,
that we
yes.
could discuss?
Yeah,
here?
besides doing these jungles, I'm in the swimming pool business, Groucho. I build swimming pools.
Oh.
You know, as a kid, most of our pools are in the YMCA, and I was brought up in the YMCA.
That's where I learned to
And-
swim in the YMCA.
Did you?
In Bridgeport, Connecticut, yeah.
Well, they didn't have many swimming pools in those days, so
No.
I got into a business that I thought might help the other kids, and I'd like to see a pool in every kid's backyard, teach them how to swim.
You're sort of competitive with Esther Williams, huh?
Oh, yeah. Except
What-
you don't get a kiss with my job.
What's the name of you? You haven't got the same equipment that Esther Williams has got. What is the name of your company, Joe?
Well, it's the Johnny Weissmuller All-American Swimming Pool Company.
Does your outfit have a slogan such as, if you want to get in over your head, just buy one of our pools?
Oh, yeah. We do have a slogan.
What is your slogan?
Well, we start Monday and swim Sunday.
And I know the rest of it. If they don't pay by Tuesday, you take it out again Wednesday. Johnny, just for old time's sake, could you give us the Tarzan yell just once? Huh?
Oh, I haven't done that in years. I don't know if I can do it.
How's that? Well, if I can do it, you can do it. Come on, throw one. The Goodrich Company just declared another dividend. Now, Johnny, I haven't heard a yell like that since I got my last income tax bill. Could you look at her and give us the Tarzan yell?
Sure, anybody could.
Go on, look at her and give us the yell. Again. Honey, he wants you. Well, I hate to break up this very interesting conversation, but it's been fun talking to you, Rita, and to you, Johnny. But the time has come to play You Bet Your Life, so let's get started. Now, you've chosen the world's largest city. Remember your partner, so answer between you before you answer. You selected the world's largest cities. The cities in this quiz were taken from the latest world census figures. If you miss 2 in a row, you're out. If you get 4 in a row right, you win $1,000. Now, what is the largest city in Argentina? Talk it over.
Buenos Aires.
You're right.
You have one right. Get 3 more right, and you'll have $1,000.
What is the largest city in Sweden?
Stockholm.
Stockholm is right.
You have 2 right now.
What is the largest city in Denmark?
Copenhagen.
Copenhagen is right.
You're almost there. Get the next one right, and you'll have $1,000.
What is the largest city in Brazil?
Rio de Janeiro.
No, it's a nice city, but it has nothing to do with this. Sao Paulo.
Is it?
Yes, yes.
You now have 1 wrong. If you get the next one wrong, the game is over.
What is the largest city in China?
Hong Kong.
No, it's Shanghai.
Well, you got 2 wrong in a
I'm
row.
sorry you missed 2 in a row, so we don't want you to go away empty-handed. I'm going to ask you one more question for $100. What do you call the white of an egg?
What?
The white of an egg. Well, that's a good yoke on you.
Why?
Huh? That's all right. Sorry you didn't win more, but thanks anyway for being with us. You bet your life. Sorry you didn't win more.
That means our first couple can try for the double chance at $5,000 or $10,000 tonight. We'll know the decision after these words from our alternate sponsor.
George, we're ready to see who wants to get a crack at all this money.
All right, Groucho.
Anybody alive out there?
Yes, Mary Dodd and Professor Richard Armour. Would you come out, please?
Well, you won $1,000 so far. If you decide to try for the big money and you fail, you wind up with a total of $500. Now, what do you propose to do?
Groucho, I've come to a cul-de-sac.
Have you? Is that near Sequoia?
I promised before the program that I would give the $500 by one at 2 Scripps College. I don't feel I should gamble their money.
In other words, you're going to keep the money and do a Scripps tease. Is that right?
Thank you.
Now, what about Scotty over here?
Well, I'd
You
like
gonna-
to take a chance, but unfortunately I injured my hand and I've not been working. So the $500 is a godsend and it'll help me get back on my feet.
Well, that's your privilege. Congratulations for winning the 1,000, and thanks for being on the show. You bet your life. It was nice having you both up here.
Thank you.
Arrivederci.
Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life has been brought to you tonight by Lever Brothers, makers of Blue Liquid Whisk, the full-range detergent. Whisk is the liquid way to your cleanest wash. And the active soap for active people, new Spice Fragrant Lifebuoy, the finest deodorant soap in the world, with Purulin Plus. Your satisfaction guaranteed by Lever Brothers or your money back.